I find that failures are catapults to success, but we have to have them. They're like playing a video game and you get these magic little mats you can jump on, and then you have this extra strength that gets you even further. You have to be able to look at your failures that way, but they are only those superpowers that move you forward when you look at them as the gift that they are. They were opportunities that gave you a moment to pause, to reflect, to course correct, and then to take new action that is different from the action that you have been taking. That for me often is also just a reminder from God that says, hey, you're doing something and it's not 100% in line with where you need to go, and you need to reevaluate what it is that you're doing. None of which can happen if you don't create the time to pause. Let's talk about change. The truth is, nothing changes unless you change. And if you want to step into your full potential, you need to surround yourself with the right people. That is exactly why I have created the InPowered Life community. Within this community, I'm going to be teaching you the exact same mindset and energy practices that I have taught my clients that are paying me well over six figures, including CEO owners of billion-dollar organizations and professionals at the very top of their fields. You're going to get access to 2 live virtual calls every single month with me, where we're going to dive into mindset, energy practices, spiritual principles that are going to help you thrive in every area of your life. Can't make a call? No worries. We're going to provide you with a recording so that you can catch up anytime. Plus, you're going to have the opportunity for direct coaching from me and to learn from incredible guest speakers who are going to share their best practices and growth. Remember, you become the people that you spend the most time with. So why not spend time within a community that is going to elevate you and your life? For an introductory $499, you're going to get a full year of support and coaching alongside high performers who are committed to expanding their careers, their growth, their finances, and to elevate their overall quality of life. Just click the link in the show notes or log into rudiriekstins.com to lock in your spot and start your transformation today. Welcome to the Empowered Life Podcast, a space dedicated to spreading the message that you have the power within to create everything you seek.
So if you're ready to enroll in a new kind of higher learning, the kind that leads to true personal freedom, then hang here with us.
We're your hosts, Rudi and Aniston Riekstins, and this is the Empowered Life. Welcome to the InPowered Life Podcast. My name is Rudi Riekstins. I'm your host, and I'm really excited to have the opportunity and or the platform to be able to support individuals in creating changes in their life. I've used that word so many times over the last few weeks because I'm now in the, fifth episode of talking about transformation and supporting people in creating shifts in their everyday life. And we all have a dream or a desire to have something, to do something. And for so many of us, we get stuck in not being able to create that shift. And so I am sharing the InPowered Life methodology. What is it that I teach? You know, just in that in itself is an incredible lesson, because I never set out at any point in time to come up with a methodology, a very specific practice that I bring into people's lives. And it was just over time, over 26 years of supporting sales teams, of working inside of organizations, of starting my own businesses, and then eventually going into corporate America and then starting my own company. It was just so many opportunities to be able to take certain steps that I brought into different teams, and then seeing that it created very similar results and people's lives began to change, and then going to the next place and then the next place, and then constantly adding, tweaking, and refining until eventually there was a very specific step formula that I would bring in whenever supporting an individual or being able to support a team. We have recorded now 4 previous episodes. This is the 5th one. I've got 1 more to go. And these are just really short and sweet episodes where I'm going in and giving you very specific steps that are supporting you in being able to create the change. We've been who we were longer than we've been the version of ourselves we aspire to be. We don't ever get what we want. We get who we become. And so it's the process of releasing who we were, identifying what has held us back, connecting to who do we really want to be. And then it's taking very specific actions in order to be able to move us in the direction consistently of who it is that we aspire to be. Well, today's episode is about integration and reflection. You see, this is where I used to really struggle because I didn't enjoy the process of being able to sit and look at, what have I been doing right? What am I doing wrong? What's working? What's not working? Almost like in my 20s, wanting to just take action, steps, and, course correct along the way, but never really course correcting with intention. And that's what this episode is really about. That when you are aspiring to create something in your life, you want to have something and you're moving forward, maybe on a very particular path, or maybe it's a career you want to get into, or it's falling in love, or, maybe it's a health journey, but you know where you're aspiring to get to. And then there's things that you're doing that are supporting you in being able to take those necessary steps to achieve very specific results. But then there's things that really trip you up where you make mistakes. And so often, many of those mistakes, as I mentioned in the very first and second part of this series, is just that some of them are unconscious. Some of them you are not aware of what it is that you're doing. And in some instances, you've just never done what it is that you're aspiring to do, and so you're taking steps, but who's to say that those very steps that you're taking are the necessary steps that you should be taking in order to achieve what it is that you want? But if you don't create enough space to be able to sit with yourself and analyze, like, here's where I'm at, here's what I've done, here's where I aspire to go to, what have I been doing that has successfully started to move me in the direction of where I'm going, and where could I be able to create that shift or that change so that you can very intentionally look at what it is that you've been doing and how can you show up better if you were going to tweak maybe a process, something that you're doing, so that you can start to really learn from who you are becoming. And is that person in alignment with the version of the person that you're aspiring to become? So I actually teach that you need to create check-ins. These are moments where you pause every single day and then weekly and monthly to see, am I in fact in going in the direction of where I want to go? Is this working? Is this on the timeline? And then if there is information that is available to you, how could you course correct? And so there's really four parts to this process that I bring forward. Is that now that you've started taking steps, now that you're moving forward, now that you're embodying the version of you that you aspire to be, and you're in the daily actions of living, being the version of yourself until you become that version of yourself, then this is where you start to check in. What it is that you're doing, is it moving you forward? Are you getting the desired results? And sitting with yourself, not just moment as you drive in a car on your way somewhere, maybe you're brushing your teeth and you ask yourself the question. I mean, absolutely not distracted, focused. I generally recommend you sit down with pen, with paper, and you start to write out, like, what am I doing right now that is the embodied version of who I want to be? Is what I am doing right now working? And then rate, how is that working for you? What were some of the successes? Where were you getting tripped up? And this is really important because you will have an idea of how you're doing, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it is working. You might think that it is in the moment because you're doing something or you're taking a step. So I often will do check-ins not only with myself, pen and paper, is it working, is it not working, but I will bring in outside trusted sources. For me, it's Aniston. It could be accountability partners, whether it's somebody that I'm working out with, or whether I've hired somebody to come in and coach me or support me. Then I will literally do check-ins with them. Like, here's where I'm at. Where do you think I'm at? Here's what I'm doing, and here's what's working, and here's what's not working. What do you think that's working and what's not working? Because so often I get very, very different feedback from people that are outside of me, and there's logic and reason in that because they are not as intimately connected or committed to what it is that I'm doing. So they can see it unemotionally. They have a different vantage point where they can look at what it is that you're doing, watch what you're doing, and then say, like, hey, you're not really meeting that expectation, or I think you're kind of spinning your wheels on something over there, or you're wasting your time. And there really lies so much incredible information because my second point is the course correction. You can only course correct if you have awareness to what you're doing And then the thing that you're doing, is that actually working or is that hindering you? So being able to make those micro adjustments. Now, when creating course corrections, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. This is about making small, subtle changes over an extended period of time. If you wanted to um, create a package or a program, or you wanted to write a book, you wouldn't put down all the sections, the chapters, lay it out, hand it to somebody for some feedback, and then they make a few points here and there, and then throw the whole book out and start from the beginning. And if you were going to every single time you created something, throw it all out and recreate it from scratch, all new, without looking at what was or wasn't working, then you're never going to know what was really good in the initial thing that you had started to do or started to create, or the specific outcome that you were creating. And so for me, it's always about looking at what I'm doing on a holistic level and then asking myself, what is working or isn't working in what I'm creating the change? And then where can I make a subtle change? Maybe I identify 2 or 3 things. I might not change all 3. I'll change just one. And then I'll do that for a little while. And then I'll step back, do another check in, get some more external feedback. And if I'm happy with where I am in that particular topic, I'm now going to bring in the second change, or then potentially the third change. And it really is for 2 reasons. I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And I also don't want to overwhelm myself or my clients. Because if I'm suggesting you make a lot of changes all at one time, then it's going to be very overwhelming. And then you're also not going to know what was or what wasn't working. And so this is small incremental shifts. But keep in mind, when you're making these micro adjustments over time, every few days, make a little change in something else, add another little change, something else, keep the consistency in everything else. Now you are really embodying. This is the integration of the version of you that you want to be. You're bringing it into your everyday. You're doing it every day. You're not creating a lot of disruption and change. They're small, subtle changes. And so this really can only come when you spend time in that self-reflection, checking in with what you're doing, drawing in the additional value and meaning from what other people are giving you and what you're seeing, and then making sure that at all times you always have your desired goal and plan and expectation of what it is that you're wanting to do. And so I don't only look at what am I doing right now, but I compare that daily to who it is I'm aspiring to be. So that when I'm making my adjustments, when I'm creating any shifts, it's always keeping in mind of the version of myself that I want to be. And so that's easier for me to have that as my North Star. That is my motivation. And that is also keeping me honest and in my integrity when creating shifts or changes. Because sometimes when you want to create a change, change can feel hard and you can give up on yourself. You can give yourself just an easier ride saying, oh, well, you know what, that change that we wanted to bring in or that thing we wanted to do, well, that was really tough. And, I need to give myself some grace. So I'm going to lay off the gas on that one. But if you were committed to being a certain way or doing something and it was greater than yourself, then you're going to need the reminder in every day, in every action for why it is that you're doing what it is that you're doing. And so for me, I find so much clarity in always being reminded of the version of myself that I'm inspiring to embody today. What are the things that I'm doing right now that are moving me in that direction? And then where can I be intentional about making those shifts or making those changes? I mentioned in the last episode of when I'm really caught up in the anxiety or the stress of doing something, when I feel like I've lost the love or the lust of what I'm doing, is I step away. That is a very intentional act of taking a moment to step away, spending an hour outside, doing something unrelated to where I'm going. But the emotional equivalent of that is anchoring me in the version of myself that I'm aspiring to be. So I'm always moving towards that North Star. Then I pick back up with my project and I seem to move forward so much faster.
Hey, it's Aniston Riekstins here, and I want to ask you, have you ever wondered if there's more to your life and work than what you're doing right now? What if I told you that the universe is hiring and you were born to fill a role that will bring you true purpose and success? In my new #1 best-selling book, The Universe is Hiring, Discover the Role You Were Born to Fill, I'm going to show you exactly how to step into that role. This isn't just a book full of inspiration, it's a roadmap to help you start shifting into a more fulfilling life right now. You'll get clear on your unique purpose, learn how to align with your strengths, and take actionable steps towards the career and life that truly light you up. If you're ready to make a change and start living the life you were meant for, grab your copy today. Available anywhere you buy your books online or click the link in the show notes.
The third thing that I really talk about when we talk about reflection and integration is paying tremendous, tremendous attention to how can we learn from past failures. And so many of us, we don't really like to look at where we failed, where we suck, where we've done something wrong because we don't want to feel bad. We kind of want to forget that that happened and we just want to move forward. Whereas I actually learn so much from spending time in looking at where have people been tripped up? Where have I been tripped up? Because in failing, it's not that you failed, because I remind you, failure is not doing anything at all, but simply taking action, not meeting a desired outcome or result, and then learning from that. So you can use that for further course correction. Then that is not a failure. Then that is, in fact, steps that you were taking to move you forward. You didn't meet a very specific goal, but now you can make those corrections or those adjustments to what it is that you did. And more often than not, you will find that you were majority of the way there. It was just you didn't land on something very specific because of something very small. And when making those shifts, you can actually move forward so much faster. I find that failures are catapults to success, but we have to have them. They're like playing a video game and you get these magic little mats you can jump on, and then you have this extra strength that gets you even further. You have to be able to look at your failures that way, but they are only those superpowers that move you forward when you look at them as the gift that they are. They were opportunities that gave you a moment to pause, to reflect, to course correct, and then to take new action that is different from the action that you have been taking. That for me often is also just a reminder from God that says, hey, you're doing something and it's not 100% in line with where you need to go, and you need to reevaluate what it is that you're doing. None of which can happen if you don't create the time to pause. The fourth point is for me one that I just, I think far too many people skip this because they don't necessarily find or believe in the value of looking for and stacking evidence. We just spoke about failure. And on the other side of that coin is success. Every day in so many ways, you're going to have success. You're going to do something and you're going to get a good result. It might not be the full extent of what you're wanting to create, but you're going to see shifts. You're going to see changes. You're going to see impact. And if you can look at what you're doing, what's working, and then stack the evidence that you've taken a very specific action and you got a good result, or you got a good outcome, or you made progress, or you moved forward, the brain needs the evidence of stacking what we're doing is working, so that when it gets hard, we continue to push through those hard moments, those difficult times when we don't feel like it, when we're tired, when we're disappointed, disgruntled, upset, frustrated. It gives you that extra little bit of oomph to push through something. I keep a running list of evidence of every time I've done a very specific action and I've got the result I wanted, or I moved forward, that I write it down. I even recommend that when I start working with clients, they spend the first 3 weeks writing out a list every single day from scratch of all of the things that they've ever done in their entire life that they can look at where they are proud of themselves for what it is that they've achieved. When you can do that every day, look at the things that you've done and you've done really well, it gives you the confidence in that moment to tackle something that is really scary. And your body and your brain says, hey, man, we do really well when we do things that are hard, or we can push through, or it's, easy when you take a certain number of steps, or eat an elephant one bite at a time. But if you've never tried, you're never going to have the confidence to be able to move forward. But if you've done a bunch of things that are in all different fields and they were challenging and you moved forward, your brain's automatically going to say, hey, this is just like some of those other times, completely different example, but those were tough and we moved through. Those were this and we didn't die, and we can keep going. And so it's really important for you to be able to, as you course correct, look at where are you doing really well? Where are you successful? Where are you achieving really good things and making progress? And then where can you really be grounded in that you're proud of yourself? For me, this is twofolded. If you look at it from the lens of the human brain, the brain is now looking for information that when you take steps that you're working, forward, you're achieving a desired result. It's going to scan all the information in your brain to say, yes, we're taking corrective steps. We're really good at what we're doing. We're moving forward. We're doing difficult things. And the second part of that coin is really being able to look at, not only are you now moving in a direction of taking action towards what it is that you want. Not only can you say you've done this and achieved this and achieved this, like you're checking off a list, but to me, it's really grounding it in the emotion, because every single person on the planet at the end of the day really wants to go to bed and feel like they feel fulfilled. They want to feel like they're really proud of themselves. And a really easy way to do this is to keep a running list of the evidence and stacking as much evidence, like you were stacking pancakes on a Saturday morning. Stack the evidence that you are worthy of celebration, that you are worthy of being proud, you are worthy of achieving incredible things. It is so, so easy to give up on yourself. There's so much information out there that's telling you to play small, that's telling you that you can't have and be and do and achieve. And it's up to you. It is up to you. If it's ever going to happen, it's going to happen because something internally shifts inside of you. And there are very, very specific tools and skills that you can apply into your life to have anything, create anything, do anything, be anything. But as I love to remind you, it is always an internal job. And yes, you can have external people supporting you, uplifting you, inspiring you, motivating you, holding you accountable. But I'm going to tell you now, when you yourself are the internal motivator of who you are, where you're going, what you want to do, you're looking for evidence to prove to yourself that when you take action, you get results, and that you're proud of yourself for taking said action, and that you're learning from any time that you don't hit the desired result, and that you're course correcting whenever something isn't working 100% the way that you wanted to. And then you have the check-ins with yourself every day, every week, every month. And then you find people to have check-ins with that are holding the vision of who you aspire to be. And it is going to be moving you forward, because it is so much easier to make changes when you have an idea of what you've done, where you're going, and then what minor changes can you make to that. Kind of like Formula One. I'm a huge fan of Formula One racing. Uh, and if you haven't yet, watched the Drive to Survive series on Netflix. It is very engaging. But more than anything, what I love about Formula One is that you get a group of incredible geniuses together that build these machines to go at just incredible speeds. It is the ultimate in machine vehicle racing. And you talk about the speeds and the brake power and the force and the flow and the down forces that hit these vehicles. But the teams that are winning are the teams that have been able to make micro adjustments to the car. And every single week, the cars get changed. Every single week, they adjust the downforce, they adjust the flow, they create different vents. And then in the week, as they go into each race week, they have practice sessions and the vehicles go back in and the engineers are working. They're speaking to the drivers. And again, in motorsport, it is so much course correction. What did you do? How can we do this? So not only focusing in on what is the driver doing as the driver brakes, as the driver accelerates, what was the weight of the driver? How hydrated are they? Did they sleep? All the different things that they can bring. It's now also the machinery around the driver. Everyone paying attention to all the details. There's so much data, tracking and twisting and reinforcing and making the little changes. What if you were to create that same level of intensity in your life, but about the thing that you want to have, be, do, or achieve, where you too track who are you as the individual, and then what is the machinery that is around you, and where can you make those micro adjustments? And when we have those daily check-ins with ourselves, it really does give us a completely different vantage point. It's like zooming up and looking down. The moment you step out of what you're doing and you look at it from above, as if you're floating to the ceiling and you're now looking down at yourself, looking down at your life, looking down at your actions, your behaviors, what you're doing, what's working, what's not working, you have a different level of authority from that vantage point. It's like you become the CEO of your life. And as you look down as the CEO, you're also not emotionally attached or connected to the information that you're looking down at. Now it's just strategic thinking. Okay, well, that worked. That didn't work. Let's keep what was working. Let's adjust what wasn't working. Let's make this minor adjustment and keep an eye on it. And then let's check in again tomorrow and see, did it work? Do we get a better result? Okay, what can we do? How can we shift it? I challenge people who start working with me for 66 days to go into their minds, create the end result emotion, to connect to it every single day, to do it in the very beginning of their day, and then to journal where are they along the way. And I get so many letters from people that are doing this work, and it's usually text messages or DMs or emails where they will say, man, I have had such a shift in my personality, such a shift in my way of being, such a change in this. I've created this miracle. My life changed, my job changed, my income changed, my relationship with these people changed. So many shifts and changes come. But here's the thing, if they didn't create the space to check in, they didn't actually sit down and journal it, write it out, they would have missed all of those successes. So not only would they not know what is or isn't working, but they wouldn't be able to learn from any of their failures, and they most certainly would not be stacking the successes of the changes that they are creating. You are worthy of anything and everything. And the dream that you have in your heart is yours. But you just have to put in a little bit of work. And I know that it is so hard to live. It's hard to do the work. It's hard to take steps. It's hard to take action. And for so many of us, we're already doing work. It's just, are we doing the right work? And it's when you focus in on doing the right work, we actually get to work a whole lot less. And that, in the crux, is the work that I teach. It's about being intentional, being strategic, and taking the right action. So I would love to hear from you. What was your biggest takeaway from the integration and reflection section of the InPowered Life methodology? And do you create space to check in with yourself? Are you course correcting, creating change, learning from all of your past mistakes, and then stacking the evidence of how freaking awesome you already are? I love you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I would love to hear from you, and also to have you rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast if you haven't already done so. Every single 5-star rating, every single review, and every single share helps us grow the reach of this incredible podcast, something that I'm so beautifully, profoundly grateful for. And that starts with my love and gratitude for you, and for the transformation, and for standing for the life and the vision that you get to live for yourself. I'm excited to meet the person on the other end of this journey. Thank you for joining into the Empowered Life podcast today. I love you guys so much, and I look forward to catching up with you again soon.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe so you don't miss out on future content. And we would love your support in leaving us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Make sure to check the show notes for more information on how you can find us online and on Instagram. Now go create an amazing day for yourself, and we'll see you again soon.